This video contains spoilers. Hello my scary wolf pups, and welcome to a new episode of the Creepy Core podcast. And today is kind of a different episode. I'm going to talk about my favorites and my disliked horror movies that I watched 2020, because sadly I did not watch one horror movie that actually came out last year. I'm recording this episode on the first day of 2021. But enough of that, and let's go. And I'm gonna just go from memory on which movies I watched. And the first one that I remember I watched is The Nun. Okay, so I actually had some hope for this movie, and I had saved up some really good energy for this movie. In other words, I was really hyped for it, and I thought it was gonna be great. But just like with almost all horror movies, I did not get scared one time for the whole movie. Yes, the editing was good, and the acting was good, and the scenery as well. But I just thought that it was so obvious what was going to happen. And that's also one of my biggest pet peeves about horror movies. They're always so easy to see through and figure out and when something is going to happen. If I had to rate this movie from 1 to Detective Pikachu, which is my ultimate favorite movie, I think I have to say 4.5. Horror Story. No, you, no. This was such a bad movie that I think I lost a few brain cells. 1, I couldn't watch the movie in English spoken language, so I had to rely on subtitles. 2, the acting was fucking awful. A class of 12-year-olds could have done the acting just as good. 3, the only creepy thing in the entire movie was the fucking nursery song, Ring Around the Rosie. 4, they had quite a few moments in the movie where they could have done a scary effect, but they didn't take it. My rating for this movie is 1. This is the worst horror movie I've seen yet. Scary stories to tell in the dark. You know it's gonna be something when the whole movie is about monsters, teenagers, and kids. I actually don't want to talk about this movie because I turned it off like 30 minutes in because I got so bored. So my rating is 3. Annabelle. Quite boring actually. Yes, there were some scary moments, but not so scary that I really reacted to it. But what more can you do with a movie about a doll? Well, the story, My rating, 4, because the story was not that good either. Pet Semetary. Yes, this is now my favorite horror movie, and that has never happened. Here is a movie that I could watch over and over and over again, just like with Detective Pikachu. I really like the story, and yes, I know that the animals are dead, but I do love my animals, and in the movie they do come back to life, so the editing is really good in my opinion, and the acting is flawless, especially from the kids. The daughter does such an amazing acting job, and that little boy, like, how can you act that well at such a young age? It's just marvelous. You also get different emotions about the parents, especially the dad, in this movie. And I love when acting can make you go from love to hate to love a character again. My rating is not really Detective Pikachu, but it is my favorite horror movie, so I'm gonna put it on a 9.5. The Purge, Anarchy. Okay, the story was good, but it was kind of boring, if I'm totally honest. I'm not gonna talk so much about this, and we'll just directly rate it 5, cause it was kinda good. It Chapter 2. I actually had some hope for this one because it was a follower of an already kinda good movie. Okay, the first is from 2016, 17? I don't remember. That one was kinda good, so they had a little bit to work with for the second movie, and this was all I could think of when I watched Chapter 2 and after I watched it. The beginning wasn't very good in my opinion, but it was very important because it showed off real life homophobia and showed how disgusting homophobes are. Then, when we get to see our beloved characters again, it starts to get better. But now the story is like 50-50 good. And throughout the movie, when we see flashbacks from the characters, sometimes it got kinda confusing. But the worst part in the entire movie was probably the end with Pennywise, when it became this monster and then became a baby. And that they took out the heart from and just squeezed it to juice. What the fuck? So I'm rating it Chapter 2 5, because it was kinda good, but the story and everything was just yeah. Happy Death Day to you. This movie was actually very good based on the twists they made up, like it start off by the guy's problem and then it goes back to being her problem again. And now she has the choices of either making everything right but letting her mom die and never see her again, or stay in this timeline where her mother is alive and she can be with her mother. But like the past few years, she doesn't know anything about them. I also like that we got kind of a rewind of what happened in the first movie. So my rating for Happy Death Day to you is 7. The Conjuring. I actually don't have very much to say about The Conjuring, more than that I like the story, I like the acting, and they did a really good job overall with how the movie turned out, and that it was based on reality. My rating, 7. Well, hope you liked it, and I see you in my next video.